What's up, everyone? Wanted to give you guys something a little bit more meaty, something a little bit more than my last video, which was an inspirational look at my training with Danaher, and everything that I talked about in that video, I'm gonna just blow up and go into a deep technical dive. So hope you pack a lunch, because I'm gonna talk for a little bit. Five takeaways from training with John Danaher. So I got my laptop here, and I have a couple of points that I wrote down. Number one, the technical palette was diverse. So when I was there, I expected that my leg lock game was going to improve greatly. And when I came back, everyone was like, oh man, how are your leg locks? Your leg lock game must be sick. But yeah, my leg locks were improved for a variety of reasons. He did 2 classes on leg locks, but he's got a very diverse game, and the technical palette was really quite diverse. Just a couple of classes that I wrote down. He did 2 classes on the omoplata, and there were some details there that I had never seen anyone else go over with the omoplata. In particular, putting your calf over their elbow and having that pinned on the ground. That was a really cool, nice detail. It was a beautiful sequence, of course, pretty extensive. But he did 2 classes on omoplata, 2 classes on guillotine, Armin guillotine, regular guillotine, he went over the traditional guillotine and the modifications he had made over the years. And I think it's so much tighter, so much more effective doing the modern standard, the modern way of doing the guillotine. It's almost like, it's so tight that it's almost like you're doing a gi choke with just the bones in your hands and arms. It's really, I would say their front headlock game, like the front headlock game with the guillotine from the Danaher crew, is the tightest I have ever felt. I haven't been caught in a guillotine for a long time, years. And I got caught in several different ways that they tighten it up. There's ways that they grab their elbow, they grab their wrist, they grab their hand in various configurations. So we did a couple of classes on the guillotine, guard passing, guard retention, stepping over their leg, going north-south, blocking. That was good. They did them on the same day. We did a class on leg locks, ashigarami. 2, I actually didn't participate in those. Those were times where I was just watching the class, but I still was able to get quite a bit out of it. And then there was a class on inversions that I brought a buddy to. So my buddy and I are both black belts, pretty experienced. He's done MMA, as coach professional fighters, the whole thing. And we felt like white belts. And we laughed and laughed. We went to lunch afterwards and laughed about it over and over because, man, I haven't felt like that in a while. The inversions and getting into inverting into ashigarami, I had just never done that. I had never really experimented with doing kazushi, the horizontal kazushi that they use to get into the leg lock position, and then inverting underneath. It was pretty humbling. And watching John do it, and he was so calm and patient when he was inverting. He was actually inverting in slow motion and explaining at the same time, telling us all the relevant details. And we could catch some of it, but like the whole thing was it was beyond me. It was beyond me. And that's a cool feeling to have. I don't get it that often. But it actually sparked some level of joy. We also did a John Wayne sweep into the arm drag, into katagatame, or kind of like a seated head and arm choke from the guard, or also into a triangle. We did a full class on escaping the body triangle. I have never been to a class where they address the body triangle. Maybe one answer. I've certainly been asked that question at seminars, but I've never actually attended a class where someone went over escaping the body triangle. He did an entire class on it. If they get you and you roll out, hand fighting, breaking their choking posture, hand fighting, elbow cuts, so you can start to rotate into them. You rotating advent while they follow you. The worst case scenario, if they follow you and then you go back underneath them. It's just, it was incredible. It was incredible. So technical. Then we did EBI rounds at the end of that class. So it was a really cool and very technically diverse palette that he showed. And then from kind of like a meta view, just having seen a lot of people teach classes, it's interesting to see what they reinforce, what they, I wouldn't say recycle, but what they go back to reinforce while introducing new material. So I could see the kind of the major emphasis that John was giving with front headlocks and leg locks, but it was also some other really juicy segments of the game that he was introducing his people into. Now, also want to mention, this is not the pro class. I didn't go to the pro class. The regular room was tough enough. So I fielded a lot of questions like, did you roll with Gordon Ryan? What was that like? I wasn't even there. I'm just in the regular class. The equivalent of the Blue Basement back in New York City. The regular class that he was teaching, that he teaches twice a day, and then he does a pro class. So this man is definitely on a schedule of teaching and having his mind so involved in the art. I mean, it shows with the sharpness of his explanation and the diversity of what he showed, because it was good. It was good. He's really creating well-rounded players. So number 2, his in-person instruction is very succinct. So my second takeaway is John teaches the way I like to teach, which is essentially no warm-up. You just start out with a simple technique or a positional escape or something like that, and then you add to it, going through the class, eventually doing a series of motions so that you are actually warmed up without doing any calisthenics, and you're able to deliver the most amount of information in the shortest period of time, which is very jiu-jitsu. I mean, the efficiency of information exchange is very high. And when I had my own physical academy, and I encourage this in my own affiliates, you can do a warm-up that is pretty brief, and that's good sometimes. It often depends on how old your school is. If you are brand new, you better be showing them how to do fundamental movements and ukemi. You need to show them the basics like that. But if you have an established school of, with experts and intermediate players and a few beginners, then you can go right into it, because the beginners are going to pick up on the fundamental movements that everyone else is doing. So it's, when you have your own academy, it depends on how long the academy's been open and the maturity of your student level. So his actual in-person instruction is very succinct, and I think this is a contrast to the material he puts on BJJ Fanatics. His instructionals, he talks at length. And I think he wants to kind of preserve his legacy and really go do a deep dive into the why he's doing stuff. A lot of people don't do why. They do like this or like that, not like that, smash the guy. But there's no time to waste. He gets right to it. He shows really great stuff. And a lot of it I was familiar with, but he was able to sew together some techniques that and some variations that I had seen over many years in from disparate areas. For example, he did a class on Jujikatami, arm lock. He did it from the guard, and then maybe we swooped the guy over. We ended up with various leg positions where you can have them cross-body. You could have it foot on one side of the body, leg across the head, both ankles across the head, both ankles, one ankle in front of the head, near the head, just all the different leg variations, and then all the variations on how you can hold that leg for stability. So you have the Jujigatami or Jujigatame, and then you have the leg, which is common, but then you could also grab that far leg too. And there's different ways you can grab that far leg. I've seen this from various players in Brazil where they're actually grabbing the far leg on the inside. I've also seen it where they grab the far leg on the outside and wrap. I've also seen judo variations where you grab both legs and pull them into you so you can come back up, and if you need to repeat the process of getting into that arm lock again, you can. So I had seen these from, various Brazilian variations to little judo influence to various leg configurations I had seen and used over the years, and he sewed it into one complete comprehensive lesson. And to me, as an instructor, I was like, oh, that was so good. It was so good. And the students that were fresh to it, or relatively fresh to it, they just take it in as, oh, this is how it is. But they don't realize how lucky they were to get a concentrated dose of technique like that, which illustrates all the variations. It was pretty sublime. Number 3, let's talk about the class structure, which I kind of did in the last thing, right? There's no warm-up, you go straight to technique, and then he emphasizes stand-up grappling. This is huge, actually. The next generation of grapplers, you can't just do the bolt-on approach of, okay, I'm going to do, 3 months of wrestling, and then I'm going to enter this tournament, and I just do regular jiu-jitsu before. You have to do it every day. If you do, you're just not going to get the feel. You're not going to get the feel for, it's like if you're a stand-up player and you do 3 months of groundwork before entering a tournament, you'll do better, but you're still not going to be great at it. It has to be intuitive. It has to be a set of physical skills that you approach with confidence and can't think about too much when you're tired. So one thing I really like about his class structure is that he does the takedowns at the end. A lot of people, I advocate this for my own affiliates. I just did a seminar where I went over the basic class structure of how RDA classes should run. And I feel like doing takedowns when you're already warm, your body is up for it. And then you can go right, it's a very natural transition to go into standing rounds, right, when you're doing your sparring. He does no warm-up, long series of technical threads, stand-up, usually 2 techniques at the end. Then, and I love this, not enough people do it, I feel, he has people start first round, bottom mount, and then you do your sparring from there. And a lot of people, I've known, there are some very tough people, when you pass their guard, they melt. Mentally, they just fold because they're not used to escaping from side control or from the mount. But if you have a really good positional escapes, it's playtime because you know what to do from there. So when I went and trained, we did positional escapes from the mount for the first round. There's no timer on these rounds, by the way. It's just whatever John is feeling. Second round, turtle. I'm really good at escaping the mount. Escaping turtle, so-so, okay. Good against people that are just, okay. But against really tight players, my turtle escapes are, but this is why you go and train. I learned I'm susceptible to a guillotine coming out of the turtle if I turn back into him. That's one thing I definitely got alerted to. And third round is standing, sitting. One person is standing, passing the guard, and the other person is sitting. And they can wrestle up, or they can defend, or they can enter into leg locks. They can do whatever. Then the last round is hands, feet, back. So it's a stand-up round, and you need to either hoist their leg to a high single position, get a single leg, bring the foot all the way up. Okay, once you've wrapped it, that is considered a win. If you snap them down, get their both hands on the mat, then that is considered a win. So you don't need to complete the takedown. You can do the full takedown, but you don't have to. Or if you get to their back and are able to lock your hands, then that is also considered a win. So that's a great round. I went with various people in that, some big guys, some smaller players. Sometimes I sat it out because I was just too tired. There were a couple times in that last round, there's only a minute or two left, but I just felt I was at that exhaustion point where I said, it's not smart for me to continue. I might get injured. That is extremely rare. I really have to be pushed to that. But long rounds, tough room, and I had to train every day that I was there. I couldn't get injured, so you just play it smart, and your partners typically understand. Number 4. People have asked me to draw some comparisons between my teacher, Roy Harris, and John Danaher, and I'm happy to do so. Mr. Harris has been training for longer, and he is more highly ranked. He's the second non-Brazilian to get his coral belt or 7th degree black belt, and it's well deserved. But, from any modern player's perspective, they've been training about the same amount of time. And they are both great minds in the art. I have a couple of notes here. Mr. Harris was the first to offer a structured approach. He comes from a JKD background, and they're really good at categorizing things in JKD. So he offered a structured approach with positional escapes, with categorizing submissions, just giving actual criteria for belt levels so that people could focus. And it's made all the difference in my training and in the technical legacy that I'm leaving. So he was really an innovator in that area, and he was also probably the innovator when it came to leg locks. He was introduced to heel hooks and knee bars and straight foot locks by a Sambo master named Nikolai Baturin, who, when Mr. Harris was teaching class, he was doing this self-defense class over at University of California, San Diego. And Nick came in and was like, hey, can I roll with you guys too? And he said, absolutely. And he tapped everybody, including Mr. Harris. And Mr. Harris, being a very curious mind, wanted to know, what is this guy doing? So he learned it was Sambo, and Nicholas had been selected. He went to a Sambo school, and so he was raised in the art and sport of Sambo, and he passed on his love for leg locks to Mr. Harris. So he was teaching us heel hooks and straight foot locks and all kinds of variations that I still catch people with today. Early on, and Mr. Harris had one of the first no-gi academies in the country, which he felt was more adapted to the Southern California lifestyle, and I can't help but agree. And he's continued to evolve and innovate for his own needs and the needs of his student. When I took a private lesson with him about a month ago, he was introducing me to his innovations, which were, I feel no one is doing a stack pass like maybe Joe Moreira, but no one does a stack pass like Roy Harrison. It's actually like a stack pin, and there's all kinds of subtleties and the power of it. He stops you before you can even get anything going. he's immobilizing you before you can get into your movement or long technical sequences, which is brilliant in a way. And it's a way that he can continue to dominate younger, faster, stronger players by freezing them immediately. Those strategies he's developed to lead people down a path of his choosing it's deep, and I need to go deeper into that insight he's been working on. With John Danaher, he was in one of the best rooms for so many years over at Henzo's, and he had so many different wrestlers come in, all the wrestlers, all the BJJ players from essentially all over the world, including many people from Brazil. He had the incredible instructor Gorgino there. I mean, he had a cornucopia of talent and technique that he was exposed to early on. For Danaher, at his level, and obviously these people they've been training longer than I have. They're sensei and senpai. Sensei, one who has gone before. Senpai, a more advanced student. Senior student. Danaher had incredible sequences, and they were so tight. This is what I love. Mr. Harris is trying to go beyond technique. Danaher is deeply into the tightest possible transitions between systems of techniques and really optimized mechanics. Everything was optimized. I'll just share one thing. The hand holds, the hand fighting, all of that was optimized. I sat with him on the day I was recording. We had a couple of great conversations on the mat, and he talked to me about how grips are essentially a trade-off between optimum leverage and the robustness of the grip. So the fingers, for example, great leverage, but the robustness of the grip is not very good. The wrist is pretty good leverage, but again, because you can open out toward the thumb, the robustness of the grip is not that great. He does a half and half approach so that his hand comes over, wraps the best of the meaty part of the palm, and is also connecting to, so this kind of half and half grip, you're getting the best of both worlds. An optimized grip. He told me that, and I just kind of absorbed it. And there are many things that I've been thinking about. There are some things I've been thinking about for weeks since that training experience, and that was one of them. He is constantly, when you see John do a technique, he goes all the way. When he does his guillotine, he's not shy. He stuffs the head and goes all the way through, and then he'll go into some kind of modified hand position, reinforcing the elbow, whatever. But he's not easy on his ukes, but they're getting a special gift, that's for sure. Building up to a guillotine, stuffing the head, getting into a good position right away, an optimized position right away is one thing I noticed. Also, he's always putting his weight on. If he goes to the back, he's bringing the guy forward. He's making the guy put his hands on the mat and carry his weight. So watching him demo, he doesn't spar, but watching him demo these vectors of movement and weight distribution and optimized mechanics was really interesting to me. Obviously I know a lot of, the technical sequences he was doing, but seeing the way that he did it made a big impression on me. And it's something that I needed to remember. Don't just take the back. Take the back and make them carry your weight. Number 5, fifth takeaway. It's fun to just train. And I realize that I have a pretty luxurious training schedule. Yes, I train. I still keep in shape. I have an association, and I train with my friends over at CVBJJ. I teach when I'm in town, and it's great. I do maybe 2 to 4 classes a week. I feel good. I hit the gym. I go to yoga. I do my thing. I have plenty of recovery time. But it was great to go back to basics. Basics where it reminded me of when I was 21 and I moved into a dojo. I moved into a Japanese jiu-jitsu dojo in Monterey, California. I cover that in my first book, The Martial Apprentice. And life is simple. You get up in the morning, you train, you go home, disinfect, shower, scrub down, have a great lunch, enjoy the afternoon, maybe catch class in the evening, take some notes, go home, repeat. Maybe I catch class and have dinner with a friend in the evening, but you're training every day. And I really didn't do very much except train, recover. When I got back from that trip, I had lost 5 pounds. I'm like 195, 198. Okay. I came back, I was 192. I walked back in CVBJJ, and they're like, "Whoa, you look skinny, man." And I was like, yep. Because I was burning more than I was taking in. And the second week I was there, I did not have, so it was like 2.5 weeks of training. I didn't have the pep. I did not have the pep that I did the first week. And, it's okay because you're there to learn. And John recognized that I was not there to win a gold medal. I was there to enhance my knowledge. And it was good. I had such a warm welcome from Jason, the owner of Renzo Gracie Austin, to John being very cool and accommodating, to all the training partners I had. No one was trying to kill me. Guys didn't take it easy on me, that's for sure. And I did okay. I did great in some rounds and not great on other days. And that's how it is. Every day is different. The question is, are you going to be a man and take your beating with a little bit of grace, a little bit of humility? You don't gloat when you win. Just take it. Take it. Life is about, can you take your beating with a little bit of dignity? So people have also asked me about doing this themselves. I actually have some of my black belts that want to go down and train with me next time I'm down there, and I absolutely encourage it. I am going to put the invitation out there to my guys next time I head down, and it's great. It's a way to stay invigorated about the art. I was really inspired by John's dedication. I'm not there. There was a time where I was running an academy and teaching multiple times a day and in it 100%. I do consider myself to be a serious student of the art, but seeing his level of dedication, seeing how much he puts into being there. I mean, he was there morning and night, and then he goes and teaches the pros, and no wonder he's so sharp. It's on his mind all the time. I'm personally not there, but I was able to pick up on it. And I feel like I'm a better jiu-jitsu practitioner from having been there and having done that intense training. It's good for you. And if you want to have an adventure like that, you should. You should absolutely go and do it. The people at Renzo Gracie Austin are very nice. You'll pay either a monthly mat fee, or if you just drop in for a class, it's kind of expensive, but you can work something out with them where you do a pass and just go, show up, pay attention, drill, spar, take your beating, profit. That's all there is to it. You just do the work, and you're going to end up a better person and make some friends along the way. So I really appreciate that I had the opportunity to go and do that. I feel fortunate that I can go and train with masters, whether that's my own teacher, Roy Harris, or another master, John Danaher. And I also open that gate for my students. They don't need to feel like they're cheating on me if they go and train with John. I encourage it. Go. I have an open relationship with my students. They can go and train with John, and I want them to. I want my students to exceed my own capacity. I want the lineage to have very, very high standards. And it's difficult for one teacher. The truth is, it is very difficult for one teacher to pass on the entirety of their knowledge. I feel like I've done a good job with the media I've been able to produce over the last 15 years, but it's still not 100%. You need to show people how to train and give them permission to be the best they can be. So hopefully with this trip, I've been able to inspire my own students and hopefully inspire you to go out there. Keep that journey going. It's not, if you get 4th degree black belt, you think the journey's over? Give me a break. It's just getting started, people. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like content like this, please like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and go over to roydeanacademy.com. Check out my instructionals. I think you'll like what you see. And if you're interested in an affiliation, I'm an open-minded guy. Our affiliation is growing. You can check out how to apply if you want to take your academy to the next level. We'll see you in the next video.